Hey y'all, welcome back to the latest installment of Royal Reviews. We are getting into the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Today we are on episode 10 of our 5th season. And yes, I was right this time. We are opening with the iconic return of Mary Cosby. I missed her so much. If you watched my former Salt Lake City videos, you know that I was in a Mary drought, and so she has come and rained on us all, literally. I could be a rapper because that was a nice little play on words. Anyway, she is back, and they're opening with some, what I thought was a fairy tale like style opening, because you know they are very cinematic these days over at Bravo. Turns out it was a Breakfast at Tiffany's thing. Now mind you, I don't know if the format of this opening was also a Breakfast at Tiffany's reference, but I thought we were in fairy tale land. Either way, we open with Mary in her very individual and one-of-a-kind quirkiness. And I loved it. We had another transition scene after Mary in her opener of Angie and her daughter, Electra, which is a cool name. I don't know if I've ever said that before or even talked about her daughter for real, but I like that name. They have a little quick scene of them, which, you know, a lot of these scenes are supposed to build up or add to a later story, so we get this clip of Angie and her daughter doing something together, maybe planting or something, but she was like, "You're a helicopter mom," and that will come back up later, but we move on to our real opening scene of Lisa and Heather. Mary's back, but so is Heather, unfortunately, and we are kicking off the episode with her meeting Lisa at Kimosabe, which is a very well-known hat place, and Heather thinks she's showing up to a Japanese restaurant. We also know that Heather's a fucking liar. The fact that she would not know what Kimosabe was after it's been highlighted and featured on Housewives before, I really doubt she thought she was going to a fucking Asian restaurant, a Japanese restaurant to eat. I really doubt it, but that's what we got to work with. So she's coming to Kimosabe. They go through a little speakeasy bar that they have, and Heather's so excited because she loves a speakeasy. So they go over to the bar, and need I not forget, like I said, it's Lisa's scene. Like, they open with Lisa's credit, and she's shopping for jewelry, and she's shopping for some rings and a necklace that she maybe might get the necklace, but I'm like, Lisa, I know you're fresh off of a trip of wealth, but you trying to buy like a $2,000 ring or necklace or however many dollars it was does not compare to Bronwyn's $4 million necklace, even if she rented the shit. Because I've seen talk online that was rented and there's no way they could just frivolously buy a $4 million necklace, which, like, I didn't really think about the first go around, so shame on me. But even if she rented the bitch, Lisa, you're not competing. So I was funny because Lisa swears she's so low. She's not low. We see you, girl. But they move over to the speakeasy bar after Heather comes in, and they are getting a drink. Of course, Heather copies Lisa's drink order, but they're catching up on the trip and Heather not being there and everything that happened. And of course, Heather she can't wait. She can't wait, but neither can Lisa, quite frankly. Before they even can get to their drink, I know we've mentioned it. I always say we. You know, I just feel so connected. But before they even get to order their drinks, we have a whole conversation about raccoon penises, because the waitress, or the bartender, excuse me, was like, "Oh, have you ever seen like a raccoon penis or something?" I don't even know. I forget how she starts the conversation, but to make a long story short, she had a raccoon penis on her hat that she took off and showed the ladies. And Lisa, in a perfect world, she had never thought about raccoon penises, and in a Lisa world that she could create, that there would be no such things as raccoon penises. They would not have them. That was funny, because Lisa is very much dedicated to being herself, and she's definitely narcissistic, but somehow that quality becomes charming sometimes for her, and it's just funny. She has a case of the Delulus, but she's perfectly Lisa. So sometimes she just cracks me up because it's like the Lisa way or the no way. I don't know. For a housewife, it's funny. I love that about her. It's one of her redeemable qualities as a housewife, in my opinion. This is evidenced by the fact that Heather was talking about how it was like hard for her not to be on the trip, and Lisa goes, yeah, it was really hard for me, you not being there either. And that's what I'm talking about. Lisa always spins it to herself, and she just seems so unaware, although I think she's fully clocked into her narcissism. But she was like, yeah, it was really hard for me. That was the hardest part of my trip, that you weren't there either. So, way to relate, Lisa, way to relate. So as they're explaining the trip, or Lisa's explaining the trip, and they're both explaining their feelings, it's very clear that Lisa and Heather are trying to trip Bronwyn up on her words. Now, Bronwyn has already been messy and a little two-sided with some of the stuff she's done, even though she's been trying to be strategic about it all, and has been pretty strategic so far. They're trying to go over like the timeline and the history of Bronwyn just being kind of, I think duplicitous is the word, if I'm using that correctly. And so, in Lisa's mind, it really is like a Heather versus Bronwyn type of situation. And so they're really just trying to get her pinned down and nailed down where she fucked up. And to be expected, especially from Heather and Lisa, after getting chewed out and cursed out and being reminded that she's not wealthy, is down for the cause as well. And Lisa's also giving her version and using wording that I feel like she knows is either going to trigger Heather or just like, Lisa's kind of shallow and she's not really describing it the best she could if she wanted to, but I don't think she wants to. But they flip and cut over to Bronwyn and Todd because they are also reviewing the trip and they are kind of going over some things. And Bronwyn, me and this crystal ball, I don't think have missed yet on this channel. Bronwyn's setting up something. She sits down with Todd, and Todd is not having it. I mean, mind you, Todd is, I've learned and heard since I speculated on their age gap before, is 28 years older than Bronwyn. I'm pretty sure 28 is the number, and if it's not 28, it's somewhere fucking close. That is so many years. But no wonder people are like, oh, he's like mean and angry. Like, he is legitimately an older man by like almost 30 years. I would not be with her fucking shit either. But he kind of gives it to her straight, and she does not seem to be loving this. So old man Todd lets it be known that he has never seen Bronwyn act like that in his life, the way she was on their couples trip. Which, I have thoughts about that because I don't know if Bronwyn thought she was just going to get away with doing whatever the fuck she wanted in her little strategy. Because let's be clear, she has come into this franchise and been amazing. She's been a quintessential housewife, clearly because she's a student of the game. She studied it. She knows what she's supposed to be doing. And that's good for her. But I think what she's maybe failed to realize is that if you're going to be that type of housewife, you have to be a full circle housewife. So if you're going to be doing things that are out of your character, specifically around your husband, who is old and crotchety, you should let him know. Because what we have now is him telling you that he's never seen you act like that before, and it was unbecoming because you were screaming at Lisa, and you ruined the day. What she seems to take offense to is like, I ruined the day, and he's like, yes, you ruined the day. Girl, did you hear me? And then he goes on to say, she ruined the day because she was screaming. Mind you, if you remember from last video, this fight was happening in the morning. She started a day off. When she didn't start it, let me be frank, she engaged in this and happened to be the better fighter in the situation, but she engaged in this in the morning. So like, this is how they started that day. So Todd is like, extra what the fuck. Like, old man Todd is like, yes, you ruined the day. You were screaming, you were yelling, and she was like, I was yelling? Now girl, I know you're married to like pretty much your grandpapa, but like, to act like you were not yelling. He was like, yes, you were yelling. I was in the pool. Do you remember? That was me, your husband. I was there. She tucked her tail at the thought or the memory or the remembrance that, yeah, you were yelling, girl. He was there. And so, like I said, Todd told her it was not becoming of her, and she is so sad and pouty. And then in her confessional is saying how she's just ultimately looking for Todd's approval, and that's just all she's after. And boy, does she emphasize that more in her confessional, because she then goes on to say that she doesn't feel that like things go all the way with Todd, or like Todd has a very hard stop line like in public as far as like responding to negativity or conflict. And then she goes on to say that it's like that way in private too, meaning that she doesn't get resolve with Todd. Like, he stops it at a certain point and it's done. So, once again, inviting her marital problems into this, as I knew she would, because one of two things is happening, and I'll repeat it in case you are just joining me for the first time in this video, or in case you need to hear it again from my last Salt Lake review. Bronwyn either wants a divorce, and this is her vehicle to divorce, or she wants to address the problems that she cannot address individually in her marriage. And she wants to put a spotlight on that, so she has the evidence and the backing of millions of people to say, hey, Todd, you need to fix this shit, because we all see it and you don't seem to. That's it. That's it. That's it. And so Todd goes on to say, as he's talking about the situation, that he refuses to be sucked into the sewer with these people. When I tell you, Mr. Palm Pilot is so over slumming it with these people, he's over it. And once again, that might be a make or break for him and Bronwyn next season, depending on how that goes. But if I'm not mistaken, I might have read somewhere that she is already rumored to be back. So maybe it'll just be way less Todd. But that was quite the interesting scene. I think they cut back to Lisa and Heather at some point to wrap it all up. And Lisa believes that her and Bronwyn are good, in a good place leaving not Salt Lake, excuse me, wherever the fuck they were, Palm Springs. And that Heather apparently thinks she's on baddies and she thinks she's Tasiki because she's going to teach Bronwyn how to be in this group and how to, I guess, fall in line. Oh, okay, Heather, because you're so scary. The scariest thing about you is see, look, God doesn't want me to talk the shit I'm about to talk, but I'm going to have to ask for forgiveness and repent because nobody is scared of your Ozempic teeth. Like, you might chomp them to death like a carrot. That might be the scariest thing about you. You're not scary, lady. You're not scary. You're scary looking. You're not scary. Also, I don't know what in the Utah Heather was fucking talking about, but she, as she's going off about how she's going to teach Bronwyn how to fall in line, she refers to Lisa and the OGs essentially as foxhole friends. Which means they've like been through the trenches in the war together. Once again, I don't know if that's very popular in Utah, but it was another reason to roll my eyes almost out of my skull at Heather. Because she's always saying some fucking shit like that. Foxhole friend. We then move on to a scene of Angie and her dad, and y'all already know how I feel about Angie, the Greek camp counselor of life. Camp Greek, Camp Angie, sign me up. So she's having her dad over for dinner. She jokingly tells him it's his favorite restaurant in the world. And they're talking and having dinner, and then they get on the subject of Helicopter Mom, because as I said before, sometimes those little transition scenes are building the bigger picture. So they're talking about the Helicopter Mom comment, and she's like, well, for those of you that don't know, don't watch the show. Angie's mom died when she was young. She had an alcoholism problem and just apparently had some demons she was working through. And did not make them through, or make it through them. You know, she didn't make it through, unfortunately. And so Angie's talking about that and how she's a helicopter mom because she feels like she really missed out on that, and she didn't get that chance, and she wants to make sure that she essentially is overcompensating, because she wants to make sure that her daughter's good, and it's important to her. And so Angie's just really detailing this to her dad, and then she gets into the fact that she's still kind of mad at her mom. And she played it down for her dad because obviously that's sensitive for him. He had to be widowed. Yeah? Is that? Cue the crickets. He lost his wife, obviously. And he had a lot of kids, and so he was busy, he was a provider, he tried to do what he could, and Angie seems to acknowledge and respect him and love him, but she's just like, I didn't get that, what I needed, like, from, only a mom could give you, honestly, and that's kind of her vantage point, but she was like, I was mad at her. But she goes on into her confessional, and she's breaking down, and she's crying, which was very sad to see, and it made me feel for her and love her even more, though, but she's just like, I'm mad at her still, I'm trying to work through forgiving her. Clearly she was struggling, clearly she had a lot on her plate with all these children, but Angie's working through a grief thing, but an anger thing too, so I can only imagine. I can relate in some ways, but it's just like, wow. It was a really quality scene in a show that could be such a fucking mess. It really was. And it made me, like I said, it made me vibe with Angie even more. She's here for a reason. For the haters, fuck off. Angie also noted that she does not talk about her mom much. Like, especially to her daughter, she doesn't really just have that conversation because of her existing feelings. She also mentioned that she found a necklace that family friends had given her daughter when she was first born, and it made her feel nothing. So, once again, I can relate to Angie because, like, there is a certain numbness that comes with having, like, parental issues, and it also hardens you in a way. So that kind of explains Angie's stance. It explains the stepper in her, if you will. But I feel locked into Angie even more now, and I don't know, like I said, I appreciate the authenticity in the middle of all the mess. And speaking of mess, we move on to Mary's house for breakfast at Mary's. And this scene is the definition of mess. So much happened. My head was on like a swivel. I had to rewind a bunch of times. It was giving. It was giving. The type of scene where I like text my best friend, shout out to Kitty Cat, about it. I was like, girl. Girl. So Mary explains that doing events like this and parties like this are her escape from the hard time she's having in her like everyday life. As we know, she's struggling with Robert Jr. Currently, and just everything that's going on with him. And Mary's like, this is kind of an outlet for me. So kudos to Mary, and kudos to having some money, because I would love to throw a fucking theme party because I am sad or going through something. Like, I'm destined for that life. Let me tell you right, claiming it. It'll be me one day. So the party gets kicked off, and Bronwyn is the first to arrive. Mind you, everyone was assigned to dress like Audrey Hepburn. You can take my gay card if you want to. I've never seen Breakfast at Tiffany's. Don't know if I plan to see Breakfast at Tiffany's. I get the gist. I've been alive for 30 years. It's quite popular. But everyone's supposed to be dressed as Aubrey Hepburn. Aubrey. May she rest in peace. Audrey Hepburn. And so Bronwyn's first, and she is awkward as shit in whispering. I don't know if this is her strategy after screaming in Palm Springs so much, but literally nobody's there and she's whispering. Bitch, why are you whispering? And why are you awkward by yourself? Also, Bronwyn's like only, 30-something? She makes a lot of, oh my god, I'm probably gonna be, please, try not to freeze frame this too much if I look crazy, but she's always making faces like this is always happening for her, and it makes her look 86. Like, yes, you might be like fucking somebody that's 86. You do not have to look and act 86 though. For the love of God, stop tightening your neck. Anyway. So she comes, and then Meredith comes. And Meredith is low-key the star of this scene for all of the wrong reasons. We'll start, first of all, with the octopus bangs. Baby, I'm pretty sure, was it Bronwyn that said it? Probably because she's witty. Octopus bangs. Her bangs look like my fingers. Girl. Meredith comes in. Bronwyn's still whispering at her too. She's nervous, I guess, about being in Mary's house. I don't fucking know. But I was like, woo, we are starting strong in this scene. The other lady starts showing up. Mary makes her entrances, yada, yada, yada. Lisa shows up. Mind you, this is a Tiffany's-inspired thing, because that's very closely incorporated with, Breakfast at Tiffany's. Duh. Literally. I need, crickets, I need pet crickets at this point. So, Lisa comes in this Fenty jumpsuit that is Tiffany blue, pretty much, and Mary is disgusted. Mary said she makes these parties because she wants to see people's style and how they, create a look. The problem is that Mary not only owns this outfit, she wore it on Watch What Happens Live already. So Mary's like, really, Lisa? You don't have any creativity, you're wearing my outfit, and I wore it first. And so Lisa's whole return and come back to this, because can we guess what Lisa's response is rooted in? Everyone say together, narcissism, yes. Lisa was like, well, I was at the front row of the Fenty show when this hit the runway, and I saw it first. it doesn't negate the fact that you wore it second and probably bought it for this event. And then the nerve to try to shame or shade Mary and be like, she probably bought hers at like whatever store she said, some rich people shit, above my pay grade. But it was just, Mary was disgusted. She was absolutely disgusted. And I was living, because Mary's back. She's back. Also, what completely took me out about this whole outfit debacle is that they put up a side-by-side of them in it. It was full-blown a picture of Lisa entering Mary's house. They like, it just kills me that they stopped to have a little photo shoot, like actively while filming, and it just literally made me think in my like Bravo lover, reality TV historian brain, how like multitask and multifaceted like filming is. The fact that they're stopping for fucking like a photo shoot just for like these purposes, it's like live producing. It's so intriguing to me, and it makes me want to be like a fly on the wall in these situations. Like, just, she's being filmed walking from the car into Mary's house. They stopped for a photo shoot. The man holding the umbrella was in the picture. It was just, everything about it just cracked me up and made me think so much about like what the production of everything looks like and probably feels like on a day-to-day basis. Oh, it cracks me up. It gave my little brain an itch. Like, that's why I do this shit. I love just looking at little shit like that. But yeah, I digress. So Heather is the like last one to arrive in the first wave of people. Brittany is the second wave, but she's fucking weird and late on purpose probably. But Heather comes in her neck brace, and she just blatantly ignores Bronwyn. Literally hugged and kissed everybody and skipped over Bronwyn, who's in the middle of the crowd. Trying to do something, trying to start off strong. Bronwyn, I think, pretty much ignored her. But you know who didn't ignore her? Mary. She was like, did you not kiss Bronwyn? And Heather's just like, no. She's lucky nobody gave her a reason for a real neck brace. Big old turtleneck wearing, big old teeth having. Everyone sits down and realizes that there is an extra place, and Mary reveals that she invited Brittany, which everyone is shocked at. And it's like, wow, Mary, that's like really big of you. And she's like, well, I want to let her know I'm not poor. Because, you know, Brittany tried to relate to Mary about being poor, and she was like, not me, girl. Not I. She said, I have bread and money. Which, once again, oh my god, I'm signing up to be a rapper. Hello. So, Brittany comes late and out of theme. And everybody's like, oh great. I think everybody knows when Brittany comes around that some shit's about to happen. Evidenced by the fact that Heather, her friend that brought her on this show, has been talking shit on the after show about how she like regrets bringing Brittany on this show and like how she's like embarrassed by her essentially. Which proved to why I do not like that woman. You old flip-floppy, sugar cube biting. So Heather proves that the little girl in her is more present than the woman in her. And she starts immediately. She's starting with Bronwyn immediately, talking about the trip and how she wasn't invited, and like, cheers to all being together again. The pick-me girl gets upset. That's what this is. The pick girls, because we'll get into Brittany. She jumped on the bandwagon too, but she's just so insufferable to me. Britt takes the desperate, messy baton from Heather and opens with a question of, well, who went on the trip here? Was it just me, Mary, and Heather that were left out? Yes, and rightfully so. Mary actually could not go because she had a family obligation. You hoes were left out, though. 100%. Yep, you are. So Britt goes off about how she feels she's being iced out and left out of the group, and that Mary was the only one to invite her something this week, as if these women are obligated to invite her to weekly events. And Mary was the only one to call her to see how she was and checked on her. Okay, and you're lucky you got that. Point being, like, what, girl? You are grown. Grown. Like, if you are not 50, you are very close to 50. Get a grip. Get a grip. So, in the midst of her having an aneurysm, I think, like, on TV, while she's talking, she decides to come for Angie and resumes literally 8 episodes ago where we last saw her and we should have left her. She resumes right there from the drama that she had in her brain. So she wants to know why Angie brought her a bottle of wine to her Bible study, hymn singing religion group. And Angie's like, bitch, you drink all the time. Jesus made water into wine. Like, what is the issue? Angie was like, I was being nice. So Britt is trying to go back and forth with her about why she brought her wine to a religious event. And Angie said, oh, wait a minute. Please remember, I am a stepper with no mom. Trained to go killer. Angie was like, oh, do you need reminding? You're banging 3 guys right now, so why are you worried about me and a bottle of wine? Like, you are literally a hypocrite. Angie told her about herself so quick. And she, of course, denied, I am not banging 3 guys. Mind you, she didn't say she was banging these men in this flashback, but she's talking about all the men that she's currently dating at one time, so you left yourself open to that interpretation, ma'am. But Angie's like, look, why don't you go worry about the 3 dicks you have in your face right now and get off mine, please. Thank you. And Brittany is, of course, dramatically making it about her still. Angie drops the bomb about banging 3 guys. Mary, we cut to her in her confessional saying, well, Jared's in my DMs. Which was so gold and mint in this moment. Mary's like, yeah, he's in my DMs, and I don't want him, so no. And I'm not going to tell Britt either because I don't want those problems. Comedic relief, this is why we're happy Mary's back in the episode. This is what we need. But apparently, Jared Osmond is in Mary's DMs as well, allegedly. Cackling. Mind you, I don't know if this happened already at this point or this was after a few things, but Britt, it was literally standing up, like, hitting her napkin around, talking about, like, what about me, guys? Like, this had to have been a little later, but I'm going to mention it now because we're talking about Weird Ass Brittany, which is still her government issue name. I don't care if you... Weird Ass Brittany. So she's, like, standing up, literally screaming, what about me? What about me? They all want to forget about you is what about you. That's what. But Whitney goes on to ask Britt the real question, which is, are you just upset with Angie about being, like, exposed for drinking? Or are you upset that you're, like, a hypocrite? Cricket. Or she said something to the effect like, are you mad that she brought you the wine? Or are you mad that you got exposed for drinking wine? I think that's what it was, people. But that's the real question, because what are you so fucking bent out of shape with Angie about? Please tell me. Please tell me. Speaking to the mic, the crowd would like to know. Through fake bitch fashion, Heather is defending Britt because, of course she would. She understands the weird spot that she's in between of trying to leave a religion and a faith and be very much involved in it still. So, great. Next. But we then transition into Heather versus Bronwyn because that's what we're really here for anyway, right? So Heather decides she's going to engage Bronwyn after the whole Brittany thing. And Bronwyn, because that's what it was. Lisa was like, well, Brittany, you want to be involved and invited so bad, but why would Bronwyn take you on her trip when you've insulted her and her husband multiple times? So they're going through the list of things that Brittany has said, and she's like, no, I didn't say that. True, I said that. True, I said that. Bitch, that's why you're not going, because you said one too many fucking things about these people. But anyway, so that's when Heather was just like, yeah, the prenup thing is still so stupid. And Bronwyn's like, Heather, you do not want to knock on that door, because if I open it, you're not going to be happy. And Heather's like, open the door. Open it, please. And so that's what starts their fight. And so they're engaging. Bronwyn is like doing her thing. She uses a lot of words and wit. And Heather, she nibbled with this one little thing. She called her fucking Shakespeare. She's like, please, Shakespeare, please tell me. And I'm like, okay. And that's one thing about these women. They can fight similarly, and that's why Heather's really fucking mad, as we're about to see in this clip, because they're going back and forth. And Bronwyn is just kind of letting Heather have it to why she's upset, what has happened from her perspective, and how Heather essentially is just spinning. Heather spins everything. She's spinning what Bronwyn's saying. She's finding a way to, if Bronwyn kind of gets accountable or says something direct, Heather will spin another way and just kind of, she's flipping the narrative, and she's like boxing, but with words. Like, she's really ducking and weaving from getting to a point. And that's how Heather fights. And Bronwyn says, like, these women get tired of Heather and her semantics in the game she plays, but like, Bronwyn can keep up and she can play it too, so she's not letting Heather spin her. And that's why Heather's mad, again, for the record. As Heather is initially like arguing with Bronwyn. She throws Lisa under the bus because Bronwyn's like, you're talking about my husband and you don't fucking know him. And so Heather lists 3 quick reasons to why, what she does know about Bronwyn's husband. And the last being that he's awful and an asshole to couples that he wants to leave on couples trips, which he only could have gotten from Lisa. And so Bronwyn goes, oh, that's real cute, Lisa, like really, really nice. And Lisa, in her dumbassness, because she doesn't seem to get 1 + 1 sometimes, she's like, why cute Lisa? Why me? It's very clear that you were running your mouth to Heather. What do you mean, why you? But once again, Heather threw Lisa under the bus, and Lisa didn't even seem to get that she was thrown under the bus in the moment, unless she was acting dumb. But I was like, okay, all right. And so Heather at some point decides it's her business to ask Bronwyn why she was in first class when everyone else was in coach, because the seats came up. Lisa was complaining, claims that Angie was complaining when it really wasn't Angie, at least not on camera, which it's about what you can prove. So Heather asked Bronwyn why she decided to put herself in first class, and Bronwyn, like a true G and like somebody with some sense, said it because it was my goddamn credit card. I buy whatever fucking seat I want to, and not for nothing, I bought everybody else's seats too. And she let Heather know that she bought her a seat. And Heather's like, well, how would you buy me a seat? You don't know my birthday. I'd like to everyone hear about my birthday. Which is fucking weird and fucking proof to why this woman is a no. She gets no love from me. None. In the sounds and style of Faith Evans, you gets no love from me. let me stop. So Heather's a fucking weirdo, and Bronwyn's like, okay, I did buy your ticket. Another Bravo lover somewhere on the internet was just like, oh, production probably gave it to her. But that's just a weird thing to lie about. And she just keeps confessing that you're a liar in the middle of a fight does not make you somehow like the winner of the fight. Like, you're just telling on yourself and we all see you. Got it. So after Bronwyn calls out Heather for spinning and just making things what she wants them to be, Heather switches her tone. She works her way towards an apology and wants a clean slate with Bronwyn. She literally is doing what Bronwyn is accusing her of doing, but she's also fighting the same way Bronwyn is. Like I said, they fight so similarly, and they both, I'll give it to Heather, I don't fucking like her, but she has a well-trained brain on how to make a situation seem like she's the victim. She knows how to fight and play semantics, which for most people that are either unaware or just like don't put in effort to engage or like think or like have conflict in that way, essentially people that are avoidant, they're not going to like, Heather's always going to seem like she's coming out on top, and oftentimes will seem like the good person. So it was just interesting to watch her actively do it, because a trained eye, somebody who loves either Housewives as shit or just knows how that goes and fights similarly, could see what Heather did, and she cleaned it up as best she could, and it seemed to work in the moment. This is when Britt has her what about me moment, and she's slamming the table and with her napkin, and she's like, I'm so glad you guys had a kumbaya moment, but what about me? And oddly enough, Mary cleans it up. Mary like says something very inspirational and genuine and heartfelt that acknowledges that Britt wants to be included more and people need to be open, and it's a whole give and receive type of speech. But shocker that Mary's the one doing it and coming to her defense when Heather's right there next to her and could open her big ass mouth to say something about her friend. But it's Mary, and Mary kind of brings it to a close, but she also says, is there anything else that people need to get out? So Mary cleaned it up for everybody, but she transitioned into our final fight, and boy, was Octopus Bangs on fucking 1 and 2. My God. Transitions to Angie and Meredith, and so they are going back and forth about their issues, and Meredith, I don't know what type of drugs she takes, but she needs to cease immediately. She needs to stop. She needs to stop. You need to sober up. Sober up. You need to get it together, lady. Them Octopus Bangs were fighting for their lives, and so was your brain. But she's fighting with Angie about the whole Sean of it all, the Brooks of it all, the gayness of it all. She's, oh my God, she's beating a dead horse. She literally threatens Angie, which the whole table clocks, and then she's confused at what a threat is, in denying the fact that she threatened her after threatening her. And we know Angie is a stepper. Angie said, are you threatening me? Please, tell me, are you threatening me? Me, the Greek mafia princess, you're threatening me. Angie was like, bitch, don't do that. And Meredith's like, we can go backwards if you want to. I have all the receipts. I have all the proof. I don't want to. Okay, girl. Meredith is literally saying, like, if I have to go backwards and I have to revert, it's not going to be pretty. Girl, your bangs aren't pretty, so you're already there. Let's go. Get ugly. Which she eventually does because she can't compute in this moment. And she starts playing the podcast of Sean talking and saying whatever he was saying. Apparently, the girls couldn't hear it well enough because she was holding it in the middle of the... She's at the end of the table holding it up. Whitney, which in any circumstance, I'd be like, okay, bitch, what are you doing? Whitney snatches her phone, Meredith's phone, out of her hand, and she says she's turning up the volume, mind you. The world has been speculating that Whitney was feverishly trying to scroll through Meredith's pictures in her phone or her files or whatever, which I don't think she was doing. I think she was trying to pause the video, but was like frantically and like couldn't do it because she was trying to do the volume at the same time. But it looked like Whitney was trying to Nancy Drew her way through Meredith's phone. And oh my god, it was so funny. But Meredith got buck with the bangs. Her bangs got buck. The octopus fucking flew its arms up, gets up and snatches her phone like she's about to hit Whitney. And it's like, do not scroll in my phone. Do not scroll in my phone. And Whitney was like, well, don't put it in my face. Whitney in that healing journey, she is healing, I almost said straight to hell, but I don't want to put her in hell, but like that is the most toxic healing I've ever seen in my life. But Meredith is at this point going off. She is activated. Her and the octopus bangs are activated. Child, let me tell you. So, her and Angie are still screaming at each other. Screaming, and Mary is like, not in my home. This is the house of the Lord. We are not doing this here. So Mary is screaming for Angie to stop. Angie blacked out, greeked out. She does not hear anything. Meredith is screaming too. She's blacked out. She's roboted out. She's zanned out. They're just blackout screaming at each other. And so Mary is looking at Meredith, but truthfully speaking, she's talking to the both of them and says, if you don't stop and listen to me, you can leave my house. That snaps Meredith out of her Xanax fucking trance. And she's like, you kicked me out? Mind you, Meredith has a random British accent that apparently pills give you because the woman is not, I almost said it, the woman is not British. And she's like, you want me to leave your house? That wasn't even British, but I guess me and Meredith take the same pills. I don't know. She was like, you want me to leave your house? You kicked me out. And Mary's like, no, I want you to stop yelling. Like, hello. And Meredith is like, you've hurt me. I'm leaving. You've hurt me because you were never really Mary's friend. But Mary's like, Meredith, don't leave. Do not leave. And Meredith walks out. She's like, no, no. And Mary was like, okay, you and your Flintstones bangs can leave because, like, if you're leaving my house and not listening to me and you don't trust me that I can fix it, then we're not good. So Meredith is now offended by Mary. This is a split in their friendship, and her Flintstones bangs storm and leave. And that was the end of another amazing episode. I love this franchise. I love these women. And I love you guys for watching. Do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe. I hope to see you back for more. I can't wait to make more for you. Bye.